I'm going to put this down here. Okay. So this is what's happening today. I have been working on this song. I am basically self-producing my own album. And I'm starting over with the balancing of these tracks. And I wanted to get on here and do this because I really wanted to encourage other people to do the same, especially independent artists. It's been a lot of hours of me studying, and there's still a lot that I don't understand, and often I have to go take tutorials to kind of understand what I'm doing. But I don't think it should stop you. So here I've got the project pulled up, and you can see I've already started putting some of these effects and stuff on certain instruments. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these off and just start from I'm going to leave these gain plugins happening and just start from the top here, starting with just getting the balance of these and starting with the submix. And in case you are wondering what I'm talking about with the submix, it's basically where you highlight all of your track. Well, that'll be another time. Let's just focus on the balancing of these right now. I'll talk about buses later, even though that's really pretty important from the get-go. Let's just talk about it. All right, so buses are basically, let me just turn all this off first here. And, okay. So I'm going to show you with the harmonies. So here's all the harmonies. As you can see, here's the high, here's the mid, here's the low. I went back and I added a fourth harmony just because. So basically what I did is I highlighted these tracks by holding shift, right? Boom. And then what I did is I went up here to this bus, the output, and I bussed it over all to this harmony bus. So basically I created one track that they're all going to run through. And the reason I did that is because I want especially these harmonies to sound like they were all around one microphone, congruent basically. And you'll do that for, let's say you have more than one take for the lead vocal, which I do. Right? I want it to have the same treatment I want it to sound congruent. That's basically what I'm doing. So then after I created all these different buses, and like you'll see, I've got the drum bus here. However, I learned recently that you keep the overheads and the cymbals out of your drum bus. You just you let those run directly to your sub mix bus or your mix bus. Now my mix bus is all of my sub buses, my lead vocal, my harmony buses, all the strings, and I've highlighted all of those by pushing option, and so I could grab the certain buses, right? Boom, boom. Oh, wait. Usually that works. Or, excuse me, Command. See, and then I run those into bus 1, which is my mix bus. So that's the short of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Command A to highlight all of this. Bink. And then I'm going to check my notes because I have a mixing process that I have put together over the last couple of years by doing different tutorials, etc. And I'm constantly adjusting this as I learn things. My newest thing is learning to mix into the mix bus. So, but first of all, we need to get these balanced. So I'm Command A, highlighting all of these. And I'm basically going to find, I'm going to click this because it's all the way down to 0, I think. That's how I'm going to, let's try that again. Command A. And then we're going to option click on this. Option click. Nope. Okay, now we're going to pull all of them down to 0. It was actually, you have to click on the slider itself. Then we're going to go to this mix bus, and we're going to bring this up here to 0, because without it, we will have no sound. Also the master, because the mix bus is actually running through the master. And you can see I've got nothing on the master except a gain plugin, because I want to keep things, because I'm using a lot of analog plugins, I want to keep things probably around, I don't know, I want to keep things around no higher than negative 18 dB for these analog plugins to work. So, okay. I'm actually going to go right over here to a chorus where it's, actually, let's do the ending chorus, the outro, because it's really big, and this is a really great place to start balancing your tracks. And I'm using this right here, this little loopity, I call it the loopity doopity thing. Hopefully you can see that past my head here. And yeah. So we're going to start by letting this loop, and I'm going to start with my lead vocal bus. What's that? Now, this is the first release, lead vocal 2. Okay, so let's start by bringing this up to 0. Let's start by taking this lead vocal up 0. I'm not sure why we're not hearing anything. Don't worry, I'm going to figure it out. Could be because I switched over this microphone. Let me check my console. It's a lot to know, y'all. Okay. Cause his strength is numbers. Whoa. Don't forget this right up here, your master volume. I really thought this would control that. That's weird. Huh. Oh, there we go. All right, so there's no reverb or anything on that. Personally, I can't handle that. So I'm going to go over here, and I am going to turn this reverb back on that I've got going. And actually, I've got this new reverb that I just got through Universal Audio. It's a plate. You know what? No, I'm not, because I just want a little bit. Never mind. All right, so now I'm going to go in order of importance. And because I do retro soul music, I'm going to start with the backing vocals, because in my opinion, that's very, very important. Backing vocals to me is in my very humble opinion, makes soul music. I love it. If you know the Sweet Inspirations, if you don't, I encourage you to go look them up because they sing with everybody from Aretha Franklin to Elvis to Ray Charles, everybody. Okay.
Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try. Please don't give.
And then I'm command shifting to get all of these up.
Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try. Please don't give your hope away, 'cause it's strengthening numbers. Whoa. Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try.
And then, of course, the most important thing, in my opinion, next, bass.
Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try. Please don't give your hope away, 'cause it's strengthening numbers. Whoa. Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try. Please don't give your hope away, 'cause it's strengthening numbers. Whoa. Please don't.
All right.
Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger
We're going to go over
than
here
all of
to
this,
the
and
kick.
I hope that we
Now,
will
because
try.
the kick is running over here into the drum bus, I'm going to bring this drum bus up to 0.
Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try. Please don't give your hope.
And you can hear the bleed because this was actually done in a studio. We were all in the same room together, so you can hear a little bit of the the bleed happening with the entire set. Now, mind you, nothing has been EQ'd, nothing. This is just straight raw tracks that we are trying to get a little bit of balance. We'll start working on getting things to kind of push out a little bit on as we start EQing and adding compressors, etc.
It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try.
Another thing I think it's important to mention is that over here in your gain, we want to make sure that this is all in mono. We want to mix in mono, where you can really hear everything. Make sure on your master and on your mix bus, they're both in mono. You don't have to do that on all the tracks because most of the tracks I've got going here are in mono anyway, and this will control all of it, the sub mix, the mix bus, and the master. Just make sure it's in mono.
Please don't give your, don't you give your hope away. It's bigger than all of this, and I hope that we will try.
So let's go ahead and get this snare happening. Also, I'm going to bring that snare bus up to about 0. Now, this is kind of I would say I'm going to put the strings in next, but I think I'm going to stay with the core of this song, which is, there's some really cool guitar lines in here too. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go with this, let's move this over. Why are you cockamamie? We're going to go over here to the lead guitar. Russell Scallion, who oh, that's why I've got this effects running through this harmony pedal. Okay, better. There we go.
Yes, don't give up, don't you give your heart away. It's bigger than all of us, and I hope that we will try. Yes, don't give your hope away. 'Cause it's straight in numbers. Whoa, yeah. Straight in. Yes, don't give up, don't you give your heart away. It's bigger than all of us.
So now this is just a lot of moving this up and pulling this down kind of thing. The next thing I'm going to try out, I'm going to see where these wah guitars are sitting. There's a lot more rhythm happening here. But because this is just one track of guitar, you can see this is my rhythm guitar. But because these are just only one track of these, I didn't give these a bus. But you can see I've got a couple of wah guitar here, and so I threw them all onto a bus so that I can affect them all, because I want them all to kind of have the same quality through the song.
Yes, don't give up, don't you give your heart away. It's bigger than all of us, and I hope that we will try. Yes, don't give your hope away. 'Cause it's straight in numbers. Whoa, yeah. Straight in. Yes, don't give up, don't you give your heart away. It's bigger than all of us, and I hope that we will try.
Let's do it again. I just know from this song I don't really need a lot of my rhythm guitar in there, but I do like this clean guitar playing really high up on the neck, giving that kind of funky little chicken scratch. Alright, now let's see what's happening with these wah guitars. Now, because I know this track and how many different wahs I've got going on. You can see here I've got two different wah guitars happening. And later I will be panning this stuff, which will start causing some separation. Really, this is just really important to kind of get these balances so you can, I think this is probably what I've learned and what I've from my studying and from mixing is that this is probably the most important part. Like, aside from kind of EQing things to have them sit and give them the tonal quality that you want, this part here is the most important. And I want to encourage you all, if you're mixing your own stuff, to not be afraid to go back and just redo it. And that's pretty much what's happened here. I got caught up on the horns. And then pretty soon I was just so all over the place that I was like, okay, I got to start from the beginning. So that's what we're doing. And also, you want to kind of do these in 45-minute increments if you can. Do not play these songs. Do not play the song so loud either. You want to keep it at a pace where you can still, or a volume that you can still talk over it, because I'm using the biggest part of the song, this is going to cause ear fatigue pretty fast. So I'm kind of going to get the basics here, take a break, probably grab some lunch, and then come back. And I will continue to go ahead and I'll continue a live broadcast on this as well. It's bigger than all of us. So I'm just kind of listening to make sure these guitars are not competing with the vocals. I want the vocals to be sitting on top. But I want to make sure they're also audible. And so in my mind, in my opinion, this clean guitar is not as, or my rhythm guitar is not as important as this cool riff that's being played on repetitively on the end on this lead guitar. So I'm slowly starting to pull those down more. I'm hearing them just enough that I think it's going to create the effect and give it the kind of pulsing that I want, the vibe that I want, but I also don't want it interfering with what I still think is the most important part of this song, this section, because we're going to have many sections to go through and start automating. And you want to make these moves kind of subtle. Okay. Let's see what this wah guitar is doing. But it doesn't need to be. And now since I'm focusing on this wah guitar, I'm just kind of shortening the repeat so I can focus on what's happening with these guitars. Okay, it's interesting. I'm going to leave it there. I can't really hear. There's not a lot of clarity on those wah guitars right now, but I mean, it's doing, especially this first one, it's got kind of like those big chords, just those big power chords. Wow, wow. I like how it's supporting it. This guy's got some little licks. Now I'm curious. Nope, that's only on the verses. Matter of fact, I'm going to mark that as such. Sorry, remember? So I know it's only on the verses, and I don't have to even think about it right now. There's a lot going on. I'm not even sure if I need this guitar on the outro. But I'm leaving it there kind of. If I start hearing it and it starts annoying me, I'll kind of get rid of it. All right. right, so we're going to go over here to percussion. We've got some tambo, which is kind of, in my opinion, important in soul music. But this is not a Motown song specifically. This is more kind of Southern stack soul to me, so I'm not going to push that tambourine out. And the other thing about tambourine is that it really cuts through the mix because of its frequency. So I'm just going to have this kind of shaker is a nice little subtle addition for when you want, for instance, on this outro chorus, I want to create the feeling that it's like it's more lively. It's almost getting pushed a little bit. It's like it's picking up. To me, in my opinion, I don't want things to sound perfect. I want it to sound human. I want it to breathe. I want the tempos to push and pull a little bit because I think that's how we play as human beings. And also, I love old school soul music. And my favorite example is if you go listen to Patti and the LaBelle's Lady Marmalade, it starts off at this really kind of chill tempo, that dum bum bum boom boom boom. And by the outro, man, they're just hauling ass, and it is fantastic. So, over the years, I've learned little tricks with percussion and such that can kind of give you that feel that, doing those 16th double time kind of, I'm not even saying that right. I'm starting to get hungry. Anyway, those kind of, just giving that little push to it kind of makes it feel like it's picking up a little bit, and it's got a little more excitement is the best way I can describe it. All right, let's keep going. I'm hearing that this wah is hitting a little too much. It's interfering a little too much with that really cool guitar riff. It's funny, as you kind of do this and you start focusing on other instruments, all of a sudden kind of in your hearing peripheral, I guess you'll call it, you can start hearing other things. So that's why I keep going back and like, wait, get that wall out of there. That's too much. Okay. So, we got a lot going on in this song, but I love it. I really love it. So I'm going to say, just in order of importance, in my opinion, is now going to be the strings, because I freaking absolutely love strings. And I love arranging them. I love what they do for a song, how they just bring this beauty, in my opinion, to a song. Actually, let's go back to these overheads real quick. Why is that overhead bus running? All right, so we're going to take this overhead bus. This is a great example. I've got this to the mix bus. That's not where I want it anymore. So I am going to actually just put it stereo out, because I don't... Actually, that is a lie. I do want it going to the mix bus. I want it to go not to the drum bus. Never mind. Ignore me. Okay, let's see with this overheads what we got here. You're going to see how it's going to change almost the whole sonic vibe of this song. It's going to be so wild what it does. So... but it's kind of cool, because then you start to learn, like, all right, like, for example, I've got in here a couple of different reference tracks, and I also want to pull these back up too. So I've already got the gain on these to kind of have them I do believe that was thunder. Wow. Wow. Like I've got, check this out. So I can go back and refer to certain things. This is the Emotions. This is off Stax Records. This is Sly and the Family Stone. So there's parts of things that I want. Like I want that kind of tight bass sound from Sly and the Family Stone. What is this? Oh, I thought I got rid of this. Uh-oh. Holy crap, that's thunder. I have this weird feeling that this is 2724. Let me check these horn lines real quick. Let's see what we got. Yeah, this is right. I think. I'll be able to tell by the horn lines since I've been obsessing over them. But really, I think I'm using these different reference tracks. I even got some Sharon Jones in here because, man, they did such a good job of taking old school soul and kind of making it sound modern. Come together, just come together. And I love that kind of that very subtle high end they've got going on there, and those mid highs. Lovely. Now, I'm using this Aretha Franklin reference because I love the reverb on it. So, okay, we're going to keep going here. We're going to the overheads. Right. So once again, I think I had the overheads in the drum bus before, and let me tell you, trying to use the drum bus to kind of create this cohesive mix so the drums all sound like they're in the same room together, and then adding those overheads was like, you know, when you squeeze one end of the balloon and it gets big, and then you squeeze, that's how I felt. Like it was just back and forth. I just could not get it. And then I started watching this woman, Aubrey Whitfield, who is fantastic. I've learned so much from her. And she was the one who said, do not put it on your drum bus. And I think she is absolutely 100,000% correct. So let's see what these overheads got. See how much more? I mean, these are just overhead mics, so the snares in there, the entire drum set is getting picked up. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go over here to our string bus. Whoop, whoop. Now, so you can see I do all MIDI strings. I use a MIDI keyboard controller, and you can see I've got quite a few things happening here in this string section. So let's see what we got. And I know that this is going to be kind of the guts of it all here. But there's this really cool staccato tag that kind of it tags the end of the choruses, which I love. So anyway, let's see what we got here. It's kind of nice to be able to see what's happening here as well. Let's pull back up our. All right, let's start with these guys. So So this here, these are the same parts. One is they're just an octave apart. That's all. It's like I'm kind of using a violin and a viola, if you will, kind of thing. Now you can hear the lead vocals getting a little lost. Now I'm just going to use the bus. So already that's indicating to me a little bit that these hi-hats, these overheads, have got some of the frequency as the vocal. I'm hearing that wah. Let's go fix that. Alright, let's see what's happening here. I don't know why that's stereo. Let's see what this tremolo's doing because it's playing underneath with these. So we'll go ahead and balance these. We'll come back to this little tag here in a minute where I can focus more on that. But I want to see what this is happening under here in this these eighth notes. It's pretty cool. I love a tremolo on anything. I love tremolo strings, guitar. But that tremolo strings are really just supporting. And as you can see right here, I'm just holding, I move the note slightly, but I'm holding one note right here. And it's something that I've noticed that happens a lot in Gladys Knight songs, where they'll just have a cello or something just holding one note underneath like the chorus. And it creates just the coolest vibe, in my opinion. So let's keep going. Let's see what these eighths are doing. Alright, not that important, so we'll just kind of pull these down a little bit. So I'm hearing that tag right here. Hear these just a little bit louder. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let's see what happens when we add in these horns. So we're just going to bring this horn bus up to 0. Now, I'm pretty satisfied with the mix of the strings right here and how I got them sitting for the outro. Chances are with the horns, I'm probably going to have to do, well, let's see what happens. Let's see. Let's just... So I'm using a low bari horn, a tenor sax or a bari sax, tenor sax, and trumpet for this. So let's see what happens. they are answering the strings. Okay, pretty happy with that. Now, what else do we have as far as... Okay, really we just have a flute in here. I know. I just went a little nuts. But this is part of what I love about early soul, folk, funk music is all the beautiful instrumentation with all these counter melodies and these interesting instruments, in my opinion. So let's see what this flute is doing. Now notice I don't have the flute on a bus. I don't need to. I've got one track of flute. I've got one track of a whirly. And there's a harp in here. Yes, there is. I took that. I borrowed that from the Stevie Wonder playbook. But that's only happening on the bridge. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll have to go back when I'm ready to do that. So let's see what this flute's doing. Put up to 0. Okay, that's a pretty cool little hook, little tagline. And now I'm hearing that flute. I don't like the second one. So I don't need that. I don't want that part of the flute there. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this right here. It doesn't need to happen. There's so much going on. There's so much answering happening that it doesn't even need to be there, in my opinion. So I'm going to go up here to this scissors, which is how you can edit in piano roll with your MIDI tracks. You can also, with all your tracks, really. But what I love about these MIDI instruments is, for instance, so here's where it is. This is what I want to get rid of. I can just take that. And I can highlight the 3 or highlight those notes and delete it. Gone. That flute might not even stay in, but it's interesting. It's interesting to me. And I may not want it in that octave either, which is really also another super cool thing you can do with this is, where is it here? There we go. So for instance, let's say I don't want these to be so high pitched. I can take this, I can highlight all of these right here. Well, let's see, what is happening? Let's make sure we're not doing something silly. Let's solo that. So I may not want it that high. I may want to take, let's say I want to take this and I want to move them down a whole octave. I can transpose region 12 semitones or down 10 steps, which is a whole octave. Check it out now. And I think that's what I want to do. So let's see what happens. pick it up in that octave there. Yeah, so much better. I like that. Okay, so so far I'm digging this balance. Now I'm also going to come in and I'm going to pan the instruments so that I'm going to start creating space for them. And I'm going to continue using this outro to do that. Yeah. I think that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm doing. The cool thing about these tracks is that they were all recorded at a studio in Austin, Texas. Well, all of them except all the harmonies, the string arrangements, the horns, the flute, all the MIDI stuff, of course, because I did this at my home studio. But like the drums, the lead vocals, guitars, bass were all recorded in a studio when I had a band back in Austin. I had a 4-piece band. And it was done in a really cool studio where he was totally analog, used, all the classic stuff. So these tracks were recorded super well. I'm very, very fortunate. So there shouldn't have to be too much that I have to go in and do with everything. Now I'm just really looking on how I can create space and a little clarity around all the instruments so that everything can kind of be heard. Like what I love when I'm listening to headphones and soul music is that you can hear, it's almost like you're in the room with them. But like, for instance, even on these reference tracks, I'm keeping all of them also in mono, using this gain plugin that's right here in Logic. It's under utility. Let me show you. Also, because I want to keep these in a similar volume, and you'll see if I take this off. Let me expand this up here a little bit. So if I take this off, I'm going to turn this down a little bit so we don't blow our ears off. See how it's so I just want to make sure that they're kind of it's similar volume what I'm listening to my stuff in. But you can hear this with mono. How much difference on this? Oh, it's because I have to go back. Right. Let me show you. It's because you got to control it over here. Okay, now you can hear the spread of all this. I don't know if you got headphones on or not, but you can really hear the panning. It's fantastic. Mono on, mono off. Love it. Love this stuff. I'm going to put all this back on for my mixing purposes. Of course, I'll have to take this off once I start doing my panning. Let's give this a listen a couple of times and see whatever little more adjustments we can make on this outro before we start panning things. And then I'll get into automation to start creating that kind of stereo spread and giving the instruments all their space. my opinion, I would take strings up over horns any day because horns really are just to accent in this song. But I also know when you're mixing, just because I love to use strings on a lot of my stuff, the strings really will cut through a mix. There's just it's just how their normal sonic EQ is. So now I'm just making sure nothing is sticking out like a sore thumb to me. All right, the thing that's kind of I'm losing are the harmonies, which I really don't want that happening. I'm just removing one of the guitars that I don't think really is that important, but I know is clashing with some of the vocals. Trumpet that needs to come down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to fix something in the horns real quick. I'm not liking that saxophone. I want all the saxophones to move down probably about an octave on this. So let's see what we got going here as far as the horns are concerned. I'm just going to solo this horn bus. Mm-hmm. I want to hear this whole thing, actually. Mm-hmm. So, I'm wondering if I can move that down an octave without it just dragging it into the whole bari sax range. Let's see what we got going on here. So you can kind of see where everything's sitting using the keyboard over here to the side too. Here's middle C, right? I'm not sure. Let's see what this bari saxophone is doing. They're both kind of sitting up high. So I'm going to try taking all of this right here and moving it down an octave and see how that sounds. I kind of like that better. It still sounds not quite right, and so I'm going to have to take a little time on those horns to kind of make them sound a little more realistic. But remember also, there are no effects on anything right now. But sonically, I just like the way they're sitting together better. I just prefer if the trumpet's going to take that high part and the trumpets really cut through a mix, then I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, I may do this as well because the strings are already carrying that here. Let's see what's happening here. Let's get rid of that so I can focus. Again. I'm going to move this down an octave. Better. I like that better. Yeah. Let's see. Not loving that. Every once in a while, it doesn't like to stay where you are. So. Where are you in all this? I'm going to try taking this down an octave. My fear is that this is going to go down into the Barry range, and I really don't want that completely. So let's try this too and see what happens. I mean, I might have to put it back. That's too low. All right, that's too much. Let's see. And what are you doing? I might like these two notes is bought up. And then I'm going to throw this up. Back up an octave. No, let's try you. Let's see what happens. A lot of this is just experimenting on what sounds right to you, what your preference is. Nah, that's way too low. Doomy. Doom and gloom, it sounds like. So we're going to put it back up. That's all right. Although I flipped them around and now it's... so now I got to... let's... maybe fix it. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go back and I kind of screwed this up. Because I'll forget going down the line that I've moved this up to the tenor sax region and left and the tenor sax now is in the Barry region. So I really don't want that to happen. And then me sitting there like this whole section going, why can't I figure it out? That's the other thing I've learned too is, man, you should see my old tracks of stuff where I just have things everywhere. It's pretty wild. All right, let's put you. So we're just going to grab you, put you back up to the octave. Pick. I can live with that. Mm-hmm. Mm. All right. Okay. This down so I can see what's happening. So definitely a little automation needs to happen here. As you can tell, as you can see with these strings, I mean, I got a bunch going on, and then right towards the end, everything cuts out except for these two strings. So I'm definitely gonna have to probably push that up, automate that so it's up a little bit more at the end. But this is what I've got so far. Once again, this is just the bigger part of this song. I'm going to take a break, and I will probably pop back on in about an hour, give my ears a rest, and continue on. If you want to keep joining me, I hope you will. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I hope that maybe you got some insight or either some encouragement to go ahead and do this on your own stuff. It's a lot of fun. It really is. And I'm finding, like, at first when I started learning about all these plugins and getting all these different Waves plugins and, you know, UAD plugins, I just went nuts. I went bonkers. But I'm finding that I'm learning to kind of gather my few little plugins that I absolutely love and use those only. So, I think what we're going to do next is some panning to start creating some room and continue to balance on this so that when we go back to automate throughout the song, everything is, I've already created some space for everything, and hopefully there won't have to be too much done to that. And we'll also start mixing a little bit more into the mix bus. As a matter of fact, I might do that first to try to shape the tone a little bit of the song overall, and then pan. And then we'll go back and automate. And it's just a constant. Do a little bit over here, do a little bit over there, automate this. And then it gets even more fun because you can actually have separate EQs in separate places through sub buses and sends, and we'll learn some of that together. The thing that I want to learn next is the side chain, where actually helps the bass and kick drum share some space together. So there might be some cussing. Thanks again for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun, and this has been a great way for me to remind myself on how to mix as well. Also, very important, do not forget to go in your file and save your project. Now, you can save different versions of your project as well. I don't tend to do that a lot because I get confused, honestly. Like, where did I leave off? Why, oh shit, I didn't really mean to do that. And forget that I had maybe one that I was using, like, well, let's see what happens if I do this. So, if you are going to save different files, I just say mark them really clearly so that when you go back, you can go, oh, yeah. I was trying out this plugin, or I was trying this out on this particular mix kind of thing. But for me, it gets a little overwhelming. So that's all I'm saying. Anyway, I hope you will subscribe to my channel and hang out with me more. Like I said, I am working on this EP. This is my first single release. I will continue to keep doing this live as much as possible. And I have this song to mix. I have another song that's already been recorded to mix. And then I'm going to get into actually constructing songs from the bottom up. So if that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe and give me a shout out and say hello. I'm happy to follow you back. So that's it for now. I'm off to see the wizard. Okay, bye.